Do you struggle with your dog training clients not being consistent with their homework? Well, if you do, in this video, I'm going to teach you the single most high return thing you can do to hold your clients 100% accountable, no questions asked. There really is nothing more frustrating. Somebody comes to you for the first time, you have a great training session with them, they understand what's going on, the dog's moving forwards, you're really confident that they're going to have a great time working with you and a great result, which is ultimately what they came for. At the end of the lesson, you pack them up and you send them on their way with very clear instructions about what they need to be doing in between this lesson and the next lesson. And then for the next week or so, you go about your business. You're working with other people and you're not really thinking about them too much because you know that they'll diligently be doing the work that you've set them, and when they come back, you're going to have another great session and keep moving them forwards. Well, next week comes around and they turn up for their lesson and you're all excited. You want to see how much progress they've made. But there's a problem. Within minutes of them getting the dog out the car, it's blatantly obvious that they've done the square root of fuck all. And of course, they waste absolutely no time telling you, I've just been too busy. The kids were sick. Ivan Balabanov came round for tea. And then a swarm of locusts infested the house and I just couldn't do any training. The problem is, regardless of the validity of the excuses that they're giving you, we all know that if they don't do the work in between the training, they're not going to get the results that they came for. And ultimately, that's what they're paying us for, and that's what we enjoy doing for people. Effectively, they've employed you to improve their situation, but you can't improve their situation unless they do their part. So here's what you should do. Very calmly and in a supporting manner, put your hand behind their head, stick your fingers up their nose and turn their head inside out. Of course, that's not actually what you're supposed to do. That's just what I think about doing to them when they don't do what they should. But instead of getting violent and going to prison for the next 5 years, what you could do instead is employ the MVE. The reality is, doing what you're doing now just plain isn't working. It's not delivering you results, and ultimately it's going to affect your reputation. I had exactly the same problem in my dog training business until I came up with the concept of the MVE. Now I can hear you all asking, Matt, what's MVE stand for? Well, MVE stands for Minimum Viable Exercise. And when I came up with it, everything inside my dog training business in terms of results for my clients changed. They went from not doing their homework to doing their homework diligently. Here's the idea behind it. We don't know what they're actually doing when they're at home. And even if their excuses are valid in their own mind, it doesn't help us with our goal, which is to help them get the results that they're looking for. So by putting in place the MVE, the minimum viable exercise, what we're asking them to do is so easy that they can't not do it. The exercise that we pick is one that's going to give us really high returns. So if they just do that one thing diligently, they will get great results with their dog. But it's so simple and so easy, there's absolutely no way that any of them are going to turn up to training next week and tell you they didn't have time to do it, because they're just going to look like an idiot. And sometimes you just have to employ these tricks of the trade to put the pressure on people so you stop chasing them and they start doing what they're meant to do. What you're going to do is you're going to go from sending people home with lots of things that you want them to be doing to just giving them one thing to do, because you're better off that somebody does one thing 100% proficiently and gets the results that come from doing it, rather than them doing 8 things to 5% proficiency. So what should your MVE be? What should be the minimum viable exercise that you give people to do when they go home with their dog that's going to be so easy that they can't refuse to do it, and that they'd look like an idiot if they turned up to training the next week and told you they hadn't done it? Well, that depends on the client and the dog and what your goal is. But it does need to be something that's very simple, can't be misunderstood, and is highly likely to work with any dog. And it's also going to depend on where they are in their training journey. But for example, one of my MVEs that I used to give to clients was to take their dog in the garden every day, twice a day, for 10 minutes at a time, with some high value food in their pocket, and every single time the dog looked at them, throw the dog a piece of food. And there was nothing more to it than that. There were no markers. We didn't worry about charging the marker. This was just a week 1 exercise. Stand in the middle of the garden with high value food in the pocket, and every time the dog looks at you, even for a split second, throw a piece of food in its mouth. It's so easy that they can't refuse to do it, but the results were substantial, because even if nothing more was achieved than the dog starting to realise that there was something good to come from the person, it put me a damn sight further forward than I would have been if they had just gone home and not done the homework that I'd set them. Another one that I used to use was an extension of that one, and it was once a dog was off lead and it was kind of behaving itself quite nicely and we were working on recall. Get them to go out for a walk with the dog, and every time the dog makes eye contact with them, mark the behaviour and give it a piece of food. And very quickly they've got a dog that doesn't really want to leave them. So I can't tell you in this short video exactly what you should be picking as your MVE, but what I can tell you is if you pick an MVE, all of a sudden you will stop getting so frustrated with your clients and they will actually start doing their homework. Once you've got someone moving forwards with their homework, you can add a bit more on the next week or the week after. The fact is, most people don't do their homework because they've got other priorities, they find it difficult, and quite often it doesn't work. So now I want you to go and think about what your MVEs are going to be for your clients.